I remember Dunbar in its brutalist stage. And my sister was a class of 86. I remember walking those ramps. I was like, there's a lot of ramps in this building. When the new building was built, they had an architectural tour and I dragged her with me. I was like, well, how do you feel about this? She's like, it's back to where it was supposed to be. I was very happy when they tore that building down. They had the little alumni section. I don't know if you actually took a tour of that building or not, but
Yes, yes. Mhm.
how do you feel about the selectiveness of brutalism?
So my friends will tell you, and you're one of my friends, but my folks who went to school with me undergrad will say that I always defended the architecture school at Yale
I
because they would
forgot. Yes,
mix.
you did. Went to Yale and you saw that. You saw another brutalist
I
building.
lived in that building,
Yes, I forgot.
basically.
Yes.
It's one of those defense mechanisms where your friends are like, why your class is in the ugliest building on campus? Why is the architecture building the ugliest building on campus? And then I would have to say, well, actually, what Paul Rudolph was trying to do, X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, D. And if it were back in its original state of when it was first opened, you would really appreciate X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, D. But in reality, the elevators were real flaky. Real flaky. You didn't want to get caught in this one or that one on any particular day. Yeah, sound carryover sucks. It has been fully revamped now. I grew an appreciation because I feel like our faculty members and our dean at the time, Robert Stern, wanted us to grow an appreciation for Paul Rudolph's contributions to modern architecture. And so we had to play the school building up, like all of this stuff. So, like, part of that is in my DNA at this point. That didn't mean I loved the building, but I appreciate it. And that's an architecture issue. Do you love the intention of the design if it doesn't come through? You know what I'm saying? What do you value? This is what the architect was trying to do. Okay, is that good enough? Is that good enough? I get it. They had big ideas. But when they were executed, it didn't work the way they thought it would. In my mind, it is a mark on the architect for not thinking about how young people would actually react in these spaces or how they tried to think about acoustics. They had carpet everywhere. And I'm talking about the Paul Rudolph building as well as Dunbar. There were certain things that they tried to do. I think the financing of the buildings the architects had envisioned that got taken away. For Dunbar, when you said the building was dark, yes, it was, especially on the ramps, because Bryant and Bryant, our Black architecture firm, had envisioned more outdoor windows. They actually, they had terraces that were on a number of the different floors that were never created for cost efficiency purposes. So there was less light coming into the building than what the architects had originally designed for. Yes. Okay. Page 300 of the book. It it gave that feeling. It was the light was pronounced. That felt real. Like you could feel that still in the early 2000s when I visited, like that sunbeam coming down. It yeah. So there are a lot of moments in that old Dunbar, the 1970s one, that we didn't experience at its best or at their best because we didn't experience it the way the architects had intended. And that was definitely part of what was lost in A, the cost issue, and B, then the retrofitting of the interior, where you have the windows in the flat wall on the left hand side. That's the cafeteria that had all that light, which was fantastic. But that was supposed to be an open terrace. Like you were supposed to be able to walk outside and just look out. And that bank of wall with all the windows around it, that those were also supposed to be open terraces too, right? So like that's a lot of light gone. That's replaced with brick wall and concrete. So it looks flat in that rendering, but those were all supposed to be open to the air, which would have been cool. I feel like it's unfortunate that the moment when Black architects are able to express their abilities in the 60s and 70s in particular in Washington, D.C., You have Charles Cassell on the school board, who was
Hmm.
actively advocating for Black architects to get these commissions. It coincides with the era of brutalism. And it coincides with this moment in time where Black architects are designing like this too, because that's how they were trained. But it is like one of the most hated forms of design. And it's the moment they're coming into real power with getting major commissions. And 40, 50 years on, we're like, that building is atrocious. I just find it terribly unfortunate that the timing merge that happened at that moment.